Okay, so let's talk about something really fun. Let's talk about the first time I did chemotherapy treatment. So this is, so I'm just going to tell you exactly what happened, how it happened, and if it's boring, just stop watching. And if you want to watch, cool. But this is what happened. So I go in, I'm super nervous. I started treatments on Wednesday, so just a couple days ago. And I went in very early in the morning because it takes a really long time the first time. I started at 8 a.m. And I didn't get a port. And a port is weird. A port is the thing where they install basically like a tap, like they tap you like a keg. So they can easily get your blood in and out and the medicine in and out of your body. Did not feel comfortable with that. So I was like, just put it in my arm. And they're like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I am sure. I don't want a hole in my body. So that's going to change, obviously. But for now, I just put it in my arm. So they go in. I'm totally freaked out. My mom is there with me, which is awesome because my mom is my number one supporter and she's so great. I mean, number one, my husband and stuff, obviously, or everyone's being supportive right now. And they're great. But my mom was there just because I was like, what am I going to do? I keep touching my hair because it's so short. Sorry. It's weird. I did it on like Tuesday night because I was like, I'm going to do my hair. It's going to be great. Or I did it actually after I was done. I don't know when I did it. Actually, I do. Hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, I go in. There's a nice doctor, nurse guy. And he comes in and he's like, okay, here's all of the side effects. And he shows me all these papers and then he tells me all the side effects of all the drugs I'm taking. I'm taking 3 drugs. One of them is called Taxotere, and that is the Taxol-based drug. That's the chemotherapy drug. One of them is Progetta, and that is a immunotherapy drug, and the other one is Herceptin. That's immunotherapy drug. And all 3 of those together are going to be basically identifying the cells in my body that aren't working, that are feeding cancer, and then the Taxotere goes in after those immunotherapy drugs are basically pointing to the cells that suck. The Taxotere comes in and smashes the cells so that it's a more focused chemotherapy treatment. It's actually pretty awesome. I thought it was like all chemotherapy, and it's not. It's 1 chemotherapy drug and 2 immunotherapy drugs, which is really cool. So yay, science, good job. So I go in, it tells me all of the side effects, and they include things like nausea, mouth sores, loss of hair, bone soreness, inability to sleep. There's like a whole list of them. I can't remember all of them. But fatigue, that's what it is. That's the word. And it wasn't until yesterday that someone's like, oh yeah, chemo brain. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that one. That's the one I'm doing right now. I'll tell you about that in a second. Anyway, so he tells me about all of the side effects, and I'm like, cool. I'm so excited to do all of these things. Or some of them, or one of them, who knows? Because he's like that, he's like, I don't know, who knows what's going to happen. Everyone's different, and you don't know what you're going to get until you get, but here are the ones that kind of show up pretty regularly. Because chemotherapy is designed to go in and kill off cells that reproduce quickly. And that includes things like the lining of your stomach and the cells that line your mouth, and that's why you get mouth sores. And it includes your hair follicles and your fingernails and your toenails. Anything that reproduces quickly, cellular-wise, that's what's going to kill. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it might be great. And I had this nightmare that my eyelashes fell out, so maybe that'll happen. I don't know. But then my mom has to leave because he's going to start actually administering drugs. There's always pre-drugs that he gives me before the actual kind of the big doses. So it takes a really long time because they have to go in order. And I'm doing this with an IV in my arm because I don't want a hole in my chest. And so it's not like you can't do that. You can. They just don't love it because what can happen is actually you can kind of not embolize, but you can kind of chemo your vein, and it'll kind of break your vein down, and they don't love that. So my doctor was like, well, we'll do it this time, but we should kind of think about getting a port. So anyway, he gives me some medication, and he starts with some anti-inflammatory medicine and some medicines to help my body kind of not shut down when it starts getting the chemotherapy. So there's a steroid that he gives me. He gives me some Benadryl, and that takes some time to get in. And that's the one that just totally knocked me for a loop. It was just crazy. Like, my brain just felt like I was at the bottom of a swimming pool, and every word was like wading through thick water. It was just so weird. And there's this girl sitting next to me, like, because I'm here for all day long. It takes me like 5 hours to do this, and people are coming and going because they're coming and getting their treatment and they're leaving, because once you've done your first treatment, it doesn't take as long, especially if you have a port. And there's this girl next to me who looks to be like younger than me. She's like in her 30s, and I'm like, hi, how are you? I'm like trying to talk to her, and I'm like drunk. It's so like, I'm really sorry. My mouth keeps saying words because my brain doesn't work. And anyway, she was nice, and anyway, she let me talk to her. But then my cat is so loud. Then after I did those, it took me a couple hours to get through those, and like I said, I was just like blah, blah, blah. I got up to go to the bathroom, and they're like, just wheel your little IV in with you to the bathroom. And I get up, and I was like, holy crap, I'm gonna fall over. This is crazy. So like, it just was weird. I didn't feel like I was in control of my body at all. And that was because of the Benadryl. I go in, I go to the bathroom. There's all these rules about going to the bathroom. Like, your body kind of becomes a toxic waste dump. So, like, you are allowed, you have to flush twice. If there's any splashback from the toilet, you've got to clean it up immediately with gloves. If you barf, you've got to clean it up immediately with gloves. And they're like, you don't have to have your own bathroom, but everything that comes out of you will kill someone. And I was like, it actually will kill people. It's designed to kill cells. So anyway, you don't want it around people. So there's all these rules about what you have to do when you go to the bathroom, and wash my hands way a lot and stuff like that. So anyway, I come back, then they start giving me the real stuff, and everything goes really well, except that the machine I'm on, I feel like it's so ghetto. Like, the whole thing is ghetto. Like, I'm just in this room next to all these other people who don't have hair, who are clearly have cancer, and we're all attached, to these machines, and the machines are pumping this stuff into us, and we're sitting in these chairs that are like from 1982, and they're these plasticky brown chairs, and the arm handles are all rubbed off from how many people have sat in them, and you're like, what is the world that this is a machine of sickness, and the machines themselves that are shooting these drugs into my veins, they beep because every couple of seconds I move my arm, and they can no longer tell that they can send this drug into my vein, and then I have to like push buttons to make it work again, and the whole thing is so weird. It's just so weird. I'm like, this is my real life. It's so weird. And then there's like this little snack place, and it's good. A tiny snack bar, and they've got like peanuts and chips and stuff, and I'm like, I can't eat any of the chips, but I could eat some peanuts. So surreal. And then, you know, an hour and a half later, I'm done. And I have a whole host of little baggies that are inside of me. I can look at them. There's like 10 little baggies of chemicals that have been put into me. The person who doesn't even take Tylenol when she has a headache. The person who like doesn't drink soda pop because I hate the way caffeine makes me feel. I have 10 little baggies full of this medication that are just living inside of me now. Medicine that makes it dangerous for me to go to the bathroom in my own house. That's weird. So I get in the car. My mom picks me up. Everyone's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm drunk. Still drunk on Benadryl. I'm fine. And I have to go back the next day to get a shot because of the bone pain. I guess there's bone pain, which I kind of felt. Kat, do you want to go outside? Open that for you, just in case you want to leave. And I'm just like, I don't know. I go home and I work and I read because, you know what? I have a business. I own a publishing company and I have to make it work. So I go home and I read and I read and I read and I read. I read and I read and I read and I read. And then my daughter wants to hang out, and so I'm like, let's do our hair. And so we do our hair, and I spend like hours doing my hair, and she goes to sleep, and I spend more hours doing my hair, and I'm reading, and I never go to sleep. I did not go to sleep. I stayed up all night long, and I read. And then I hit the morning, and I was like, I should sleep. But I had work. I had to keep doing work because I have a deadline. And so I kept working, and I worked, and I worked, and I worked, and I kept reading, and I kept doing, and I did some meetings, and I stayed awake for almost 48 hours because of the steroid, actually. That's what they told me afterward. They're like, yeah, there's a little bit of insomnia on the steroid. So I did that. And then, after that, I have such dry mouth right now, and that's probably a side effect too. Every once in a while I get nauseous, so I'm going to have to eat something soon. But after that, after I had been awake for nearly 2 days, I fell asleep. And then I slept for 5 hours. And I woke up and I tried to work. I cleaned out Kyle's car. I vacuumed it out. And then I felt weird. Every time I was awake, I felt weird. I felt like the same feeling, like I was just in somebody else's body, and I was swimming at the bottom of this pool. And then I fell asleep again, and I slept all day long. I slept and slept and slept. And I woke up for a couple times just to eat. Mom would make me some food, and they got me some seafood stuff, and they got me some juice, made some juice. But I did some Facebooking. I just did some stuff for the publishing company. And then I fell asleep more. I fell asleep until now. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I talked to my little brother a little bit about everything, and just was like, it's just so weird. All of it's so weird. because I still look like me and I feel like me. I still feel mostly like me. But there's stuff inside of me that's killing me. That's so weird. It's hard to believe. No one really believes it. But it is what it is. So, anyway, that was my first chemotherapy treatment. And yeah, that's all.